Shalom, my friends. This week we're going to start a journey through the book of Zechariah, commonly known as Zechariah. There's 14 chapters, and I don't know how many chapters we'll do each week. That remains to be seen, but there's going to be another playlist. If you're on my channel, over on the the right hand side of my channel, you'll see my playlists. If you haven't, I suggest you dig in on those. There's a collection of videos that I've made that all tie into certain topics. I've done the book. Well, I read the book of Hanoch, went through the book of Revelation, and that was a while ago, so there I used my NIV, which it's a wide margin Bible that I've used for years and have so many notes there's not much white space left on the wide margins. But this study we're going to be reading from the HalleluYah Scriptures, the only appropriate English version, in my opinion, of His Word. If you're not familiar with it, I'll have a link below the video here where you can go over to HalleluYahScriptures.com and get yourself a copy. So, let's begin. The book of Zechariah, chapter 1. In the 8th month of the 2nd year of Dariawesh, the word of Yahweh came to Zechariah, son of Berechiah, son of Iddo, the Navi. Navi means prophet, saying, Yahweh was very wroth with your fathers, and you shall say to them, Thus said Yahweh of hosts, Turn back to me, declares Yahweh of hosts, and I shall turn back to you, declares Yahweh of hosts. Do not be like your fathers, to whom the former Nevi'im proclaimed, saying, Thus said Yahweh of hosts, Turn back now from your evil ways and your evil deeds, but they did not obey or give heed to me, declares Yahweh. By the way, you know, Yahweh of hosts, you could also say Yahweh of armies. Verse 5. Your fathers, where are they? And the Nevi'im, do they live forever? Nevi'im is plural for prophets. But my words and my laws which I commanded my servants the Nevi'im, did they not overtake your fathers? Then they turned back and said, As Yahweh of hosts planned to do to us according to our ways and according to our deeds, so he has done with us. On the 24th day of the 11th month, which is the month Shevat, in the 2nd year of Dariawesh, the word of Yahweh came to Zechariah, son of Berechiah, son of Iddo the Navi, saying, I looked at night and saw a man riding on a red horse, and he was standing among the myrtle trees in the shade, and behind him were horses, red, sorrel, and white. You know, I saw a man riding on a red horse. I don't know, could this point at Basra? Isaiah 63. You'll see the word Edom, which means red, and that points at Basra. You know, Zechariah is a very very strong in prophecies about the last days which we are in, which is one of the reasons I wanted to take a look at this, aside from the fact that Andrew, thank you for your email, asked me if I would do this. And also myrtle we see here. You know, in verse 8, we saw the red horse, and he was standing among the myrtle trees in the shade. Myrtle is a symbol of the millennium, which I cover in my study on the book of Revelation. Anyway, continuing on, verse 9, and I said, my master, what are these? And the messenger who was speaking to me said to me, let me show you what they are. And the man who stood among the myrtle trees answered and said, they are the ones Yahweh has sent to go throughout the earth. And they answered the messenger of Yahweh who stood among the myrtle trees. The messenger of Yahweh. In other versions, other horrible English versions, you see the angel of the Lord, you know. No, that's the messenger of Yahweh, and that's always referring to Yeshua, Mashiach. They answered the messenger of Yahweh who stood among the myrtle trees and said, we have gone throughout the earth, and see, all the earth is at peace and rest. And the messenger of Yahweh answered and said, O Yahweh of hosts, how long would you have no compassion on Yerushalayim and on the cities of Yehudah, against which you were enraged these 70 years? And Yahweh answered the messenger who talked to me, good words, comforting words. And the messenger who spoke with me said to me, proclaim, saying, thus said Yahweh of hosts, I have been jealous for Yerushalayim and for Zion, and with great jealousy. And I am very wroth with the nations who are at ease, for when I was a little wroth, they furthered the evil. Therefore, thus said Yahweh, I shall return to Yerushalayim with compassion. My house shall be built in it, declares Yahweh of hosts, and a surveyor's line be stretched out over Yerushalayim. Again proclaim, saying, thus said Yahweh of hosts, again my cities shall overflow with goodness, and Yahweh shall again comfort Zion, and shall again choose Yerushalayim. And I lifted up my eyes and looked and saw 4 horns. That would be 4 kingdoms. You know, there is one positive use for those other English versions that you have of the word, and that is, if you don't know what Yerushalayim is, you can look at that version, you'll see it's Jerusalem. If you don't know what Zion is, you can look and you'll see that it's Zion, if that means anything to you. And at the same time, with the HalleluYah Scriptures, you can start replacing those silly names with the appropriate true names and learn them. Back to verse 17. Again proclaim, saying, thus said Yahweh of hosts, again my cities shall overflow with goodness, and Yahweh shall again comfort Zion, and shall again choose Yerushalayim. And I lifted up my eyes and looked and saw 4 horns. Horns, you know, generally represent kingdoms. Learn that when you study Daniel, Revelation, as well as Zechariah. Daniel is actually Daniel. Revelation is actually Hazon. Anyway, Verse 19, and I said to the messenger who was speaking to me, what are these? And he said to me, these are the horns that have scattered Yehudah, Yisrael, and Yerushalayim. And Yahweh showed me 4 craftsmen. And I said, what are these coming to do? And he spoke, saying, these are the horns that scattered Yehudah, so that no one lifted up his head. But these come to trouble them, to throw down the horns of the Gentiles that lifted up their horn against the land of Yehudah, to scatter it. Now, chapter 2. Right off the bat, we see a man with a measuring line in his hand. Chapter 2, verse 1, and I lifted up my eyes and looked and saw a man with a measuring line in his hand. This, again, is Yeshua. If you look at Ezekiel, that's Yechezkel, chapter 40, verse 3. So it reads, so he brought me there, and look, a man whose appearance was like the appearance of bronze, and a line of flax, and a measuring kene in his hand, and he stood in the gateway. There's a reference obviously to Yeshua. So here in chapter 2, Zechariah, we see Yeshua again. I lifted up my eyes and looked and saw a man with a measuring line in his hand. And I said, where are you going? And he said to me, to measure Yerushalayim, to see what is its width and what is its length. And see, the messenger who was speaking to me was going out, and another messenger was coming out to meet him. And he said to him, run, speak to this young man, saying, Yerushalayim is to remain unwalled because of the many men and livestock in it. For I myself am to her, declares Yahweh, a wall of fire all around, and for esteem I am in her midst. Oh, and flee from the land of the north, declares Yahweh, for I have scattered you like the 4 winds of the Shamayim, declares Yahweh. O Tzion, escape, you who dwell with the daughter of Bavel. For thus said Yahweh of hosts, for the sake of esteem he sent me to the Gentiles, which plunder you. For he who touches you touches the apple of my eye. For look, I am waving my hand against them, and they shall become spoil for their servants, and you shall know that Yahweh of hosts has sent me. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for look, I am coming, and shall dwell in your midst, declares Yahweh. And many Gentiles shall be joined to Yahweh in that day, and they shall become my people, and I shall dwell in your midst, and you shall know that Yahweh of hosts has sent me to you. This again is Yeshua speaking. And Yahweh shall inherit Yehudah, his portion in the Kodesh land, and he shall again choose Yerushalayim. Hush all flesh before Yahweh, for he has roused himself out of his Kodesh dwelling. In verse 6, Oi! He says, for I have scattered you like the 4 winds of the Shamayim. This is a reference to Revelation 7, chapter 7, verse 1. And in verse 8, he talks about the apple of his eye. You know, the apple, that's the pupil, that's where light enters. And verse 10, sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion. For look, I am coming and shall dwell in your midst. That's a reference to the second coming, which of course occurs at the end of the Great Tribulation. So, yeah, we'll stop there. And next week we'll pick up with chapter 3 and move along in this most exciting book of prophecy. Shalom, my friends.